Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, Italian Arrow Walk, and this is one episode in my new free show series. Today, I'm going to be giving a horoscope for all zodiac signs dating April 11th through the 30th. So basically, for the rest of the month of April, if you share, like, comment, and subscribe, you could be chosen to win a free reading at one of my upcoming free shows. So please do so. And let me know if you have any other suggestions, ideas, preferences for free shows that I can do for you here as I attempt to grow my YouTube channel with pre-recordings. If you guys are interested in the classes that I typically teach or the live shows that I do, you can check those out. Usually what I'm doing is going live. So I do very little pre-recorded, and I want to start getting into this more often. If you guys want to book a private reading, a psychic fair, or a party with me, you can go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. I do work internationally. And so there's something for everybody there, regardless of the time zones. You can check that out. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So again, this is your horoscope for the rest of the month of April 11th to the 30th. So let's start with Aries. Aries, in the area of love and relationships, what am I getting for you? You know, I feel like one of the things happening here is that there needs to be better communication. There could be a situation going on where someone is saying to you, I feel like I'm not being heard. And you're saying, well, I tried, or I can only work with what you've given me. You know, I can't force you to speak. I can't force you to show up. I can't force you to put in your end of the labor that's required for me to better understand you. But you seem to be kind of reining that in, you know, and you're choosing to instead say something to the tune of, I'm listening, I'm here, I'm available, you know, what is it? And waiting with an open mind, an open heart, but also realizing that this person may be deliberately omitting a lot of information in order to possibly manipulate. This is a general message, so it's not going to be the same for all of you. But even omission, you know, that is a little bit more accidental because this person wasn't sure how comfortable they felt sharing all of that with you. You could read it as a bit offensive. You may read it as though omission of any kind is a form of manipulation. Even if the person is attempting to keep themselves in a safety zone. Now, for some of you, this is going to be happening in a work dynamic or a shared income situation. And so you may, you know, feel that you need to take action after they share with you whatever information this is. And I think that you're in a place right now where you're actually feeling pretty good looking at family dynamics, friendships, and especially romantic partnerships. You're feeling pretty good about the fact, Aries, that you have been trying to communicate better, that you have been showing up authentically, and you know, you're coming at your relationships right now with an unapologetic energy that I think you really need to maintain and hold on to while remaining open-minded. Yes, of course. For those of you that are in an established love relationship, what you may be feeling for the rest of April is that, you know, it's a little bit stagnant. You're kind of wondering if it's supposed to become something more. That doesn't necessarily equate to you wanting it to be something more, okay? Again, a general message. But if you are finding yourself in a position where you're asking, what's brewing here? You know, kind of where is this going? I think you're going to have your answer by the last week of the month. And I think that you need to be very honest about what you do actually want to see happen here. So focus less on where is it going or what's brewing. You know, is this other person going to ask me to commit more, and focus more on how you actually feel about those possibilities, or staying still. For those of you open, you know, to something brand new, I think that what's happening here is you're meeting a bunch of people all at once. And so it could be almost like rapid fire, pow, 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 pow. You know, everyone's coming in and you're kind of taking a look and you're saying, okay, what fits, you know, and more importantly, what doesn't fit? Because you seem to have changed a lot in the last 6 to 7 months. And so doing an honest evaluation on what you're still attracted to, what you're no longer attracted to, could lead you into talking to someone actually quite special by the end of the month, the beginning of next month on a regular basis. Let's look at the area of money, investments, career for you. I have work moving up automatically, I want to say, coming in the end of the month, ballpark the 22nd. So, you know, what's happening here is that you're looking at something being offered to you. Now, for those of you that are like entrepreneurs, your business ownership, you know, you may see it as a contract, a client, some type of gig that maybe you bid on, you know, this being an option for you to invest in. But for others, it's more like a work promotion, a job promotion, a higher position with higher income, and definitely a sense of there being an equal amount of pay in relation to the amount of extra work you're expected to do, which can suggest long-term stability and even leverage in this case. For some of you, this is an opportunity, especially for those of you that are doing something independent, contracting, you know, business ownership, or you're higher up, like, you know, high management, CEO. This could be a breakthrough opportunity for you coming up again around that time. But then I want to say coming up again between the second and the third month out from now. We'll get there later. But I think that it could help you to be seen and heard in a very different way than what you have been in the past. And that can also suggest a greater power position and long-term stability and foundation. In the area also of money and investments, I feel like this is an important time, the remainder of the month, and especially the last week of the month and even the last few days of the month. I think it's an important time for you to put some money toward something you know you need to invest in. For some of you, this is more like repairs, or this is getting a new vehicle. You know, this is sort of putting your money where your mouth is, okay, and upkeep. I want to move on to hidden obstacles or a main theme for Aries for the rest of the month of April. Are there any hidden obstacles, or is there a general theme? I think it's about you being happy, and I think it's about you taking time to realize your blessings. It's realizing your growth and advancement. You know, it's patting yourself on the back. You have a tendency to go, 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 and while that can be great, you know, it can also be a time for the universe to say to you, you need to slow your roll and you need to process just, you know, being a human, right? A human being, not a human doer. It's time for you to process what you've been learning, where you've been, and really taking into account how relationships in particular are responding to this growth spurt of yours, these changes that you've been making. You know, some people are going to go along with you for the bigger picture as you elevate forward, and others are going to need to get off the bus to make room for the new, and that'll become obvious around this time. All right, Aries, enjoy the rest of your month. Tauruses, what am I getting for Tauruses for the rest of April? In the area of love and relationships, talking. Something is motivational. Something is moving forward. I do wonder about the amount of substance in all of this communication. So you could find yourself talking to, for those of you that are single, a new love partner, and it's almost like, oh my God, there's so much to share. There's so much to learn about one another. It reminds me a little bit of falling down a rabbit hole. I feel like I'm Alice in Wonderland. So I think that's great. I do also think that you could, at the end of all of that, toward the end of the month, going into the beginning of next month, Esmeralda Marie Rivera, everybody say hi, Ezzy. And I think what can happen is that you're kind of looking at all of that communication and time spent, and you're saying, what do I really know about this person? Do I know much of anything about this person? Where has the conversation gone? And who is maybe leaning it more into an exchange of intimacy in communication, and who's leading it more into an exchange of something like sexual intimacy, which is far lesser of significance in terms of long-term committed relationship significance. And so there's just some examination going on here about where each individual really is, even though there's been a ton of sharing, kind of what's the value of it, if you are in fact looking for something more long-term. And for those of you in an already committed relationship, you guys may be feeling fairly dissatisfied. I'm not going to sugarcoat, there may be some type of discussion with your love partner about things being stuck, things not moving, things being stagnant. Haven't we talked about this a couple times? Especially if you've been in something longer term, like 9 months, 2 years plus, anything above that, it's going to be like, what were the last 2 issues we had in this relationship and why are they resurrecting? Or for some of you, because this is a general message, are they resurrecting? Is it solved? And if it's solved, are we enjoying our advancement forward? Is the relationship still growing, or did it really not fix anything? And I'm feeling like, this is still off base. Okay, well, you've got some examining to do there with that. Then what does that mean for the future? Some of you may also have some family dynamics that really need to come to an end, whether it be like codependency, pressure from family, not being able to get disentangled, thinking for yourself, overreaching, parentification, feeling that you are excessively connected to your family. And this doesn't even have to be in a literal sense. It could be, for some of you, more energetic, emotional, mental, breaking generational curses, but there needs to be some pulling away there for sure, and moving into a more healthy, independent, autonomous direction. In the area of money, career, and investments for Tauruses, the rest of April, money, career, and investments. I see you being given a vehicle. Now, the symbol of being given a vehicle and the fact that it's coming through almost like a tarot card, like the hand of God, like the universe gifting you something, like it comes down from the sky and is made available for you. It also looks like a little red car. Now, this is a power symbol. I mean, multiple prosperity symbols, but at the core, at the root of it, it is you coming into a position of power, because the vehicle will always represent your ability to move forward, okay? Your ability to take the wheel, so to speak. And I think this is great. I think that, it's a period of time for you with your money, with your career, with your investments in general. I'm just going to sort of blanket this one for you because it hits everything. But also for those of you who have spent a lot of time on your education, a certification, training, we could be seeing breakthroughs there, acceptances there, or even utilization of one of these areas that you kind of weren't able to use before after all that time and effort that you put in. So lots of breakthroughs here with this. I really think it's more this upcoming week, because again, this is going from the 11th to the 30th. This is really more this week, and then heavy on the following week, where we see doors of opportunity opening up for you, you getting keys to doors of opportunity, which can signify don't stop pushing now. Use your free will to advance forward for sure, but the treasure should be right behind that door. And that includes networking opportunities that will bring long-term stability and foundation to you, especially for those of you that are looking to, like, I heard elevate. Okay, that's a given, but I think what Spirit's trying to say here is like elevate out of your current living space, or like change up residency, or even work in a completely different field or environment. This could also be those of you that are looking to move out of state or overseas. There's a lot going on there, okay? And for some of you, again, with this being just a general message, it could even be air travel and, more of a commute, let's say, with your job, even if technically you work from home or over the computer. Interesting dynamics here. Some of you may quite literally be investing in a house or relocating at this time as well. And that would hit more the last week of the month. Let's look at any hidden obstacle or a general theme for our Tauruses. What general theme, or is there a hidden obstacle? Hidden obstacle. I'm going to go with that one. Skeletons in the closet, unfinished business, stuff swept under the carpet, things put up on a shelf collecting dust, unfinished conversations, conversations that haven't been had at all. Don't let stuff from the past come up and hold you back. I don't care if this is an ex returning. I don't care if these are old bosses and job opportunities, family members, friends, people coming in and saying, hey, you want to come back over here and hang out for a little while? No, thanks. I'm moving forward. I see the sunset in front of me and my ship needs to just keep on sailing. All right, Tauruses, enjoy the rest of your month. My fellow Geminis, what is coming up for Geminis the remainder of April in the area of love and relationships? Geminis. You know, you seem to be having an important conversation. It does feel like with someone. Now, for some of you, this is going to be hitting a family member. For others, this may be like a child. For others, it's going to be a love partner. Regardless of the dynamic, it feels quite karmic. And what I mean by that is we come to Earth with contracts to fulfill certain lessons and do a certain amount of growth and to work out karmic situations with certain people. And those contracts come with cords. Now, the cords make it so that you can pull and tug at each other voluntarily, involuntarily. This person may show up in your dreams. They may sort of haunt your mind, signs and symbols of them everywhere, no matter how much time has passed or how much space is between the two of you. And it doesn't have to be that you are in, you know, a no contact situation with this person. It could just be, for some of you, this is a general message, that there are just unresolved issues. And this could be happening for some of you more in the sleep state, where you're working together in other dimensions to process some of this karma, these lessons and growth, and to wrap up a chapter, okay, or even the book of your story together, and to bring some peace and harmony there. And I think that's a beautiful thing. For others, this may end up being a literal conversation that you have with somebody. So it seems more like they're knocking at your door, but they're doing it a little, I almost feel like half-assed, like not really full on saying why they're showing up. It's kind of walking on eggshells or beating around the bush, you know, or just saying like, hey, I'm just here to say hello, just checking in on you. And then there's a whole lot more there, you know, that needs to be discussed. And that'll probably come out relatively quickly. It's up to you, obviously, whether or not you entertain it. But I do get the sense of unfinished business here. For most of you, you know, who are single, something to this tune will be happening for you in regards to an ex, or maybe even someone you didn't necessarily ever get deeply invested in, returning from the past, a situationship type of an idea, and two new people coming in. It does feel very possible that they'll both come in the same week, which makes me wonder if you're going somewhere. Preferably not on a dating app, but like actually going somewhere. Maybe it's a new dating app, okay? Because it feels fresh, whatever it is. Say you go to a party, say you go out to a bar, you know, and you're meeting both people the same night. It has that type of energy, and I think it would probably, you know, be the second to last week of the month, and we'll have some very interesting conversations rolling, and this potential from these love partnerships unfolding quickly, and we'll see what is of value there by the middle of next month for sure. For those of you in an established relationship, I do feel like, you know, things are pretty quiet for you guys right at this time, except for finances, which we're going to get into next. Okay, so take this how it applies. I think that in regards to money, career, and investments for Geminis, the rest of April, we are looking at, especially with shared income, We could be seeing some butting of heads, or almost like one person owes you more. So this could look like a legal settlement. This could look like a judgment in your favor if you are trying to finalize a divorce. This could look like some type of an inheritance. This could look like a negotiation that doesn't end up necessarily going to court. This could look like a bigger tax payout. For those of you who've been doing your taxes, oh God, I want to jump off a cliff this week. It's been awful with the deadline in a couple days. I think that you could be getting more back than what you normally do or what you thought you could claim. Something changes here financially. Now, I think this is great, obviously, for you guys, but I also think you need to learn how to celebrate it, because you seem to have such an attitude of like pent-up anxiety over it. Understandably so, if you've been going through a lot of arguments with your partner, you know, or really trying to move forward and you hope the partnership survives this. Or you're trying to make your way through a divorce. Understandably so, but you know, at some point you have to take the reins and you have to say, I am calm, I am cool, I am centered, I am collected, and I'm going to celebrate my wins. I don't care how hard or how long it took to attain them, you know, to achieve this status. In career, you guys are really looking quite brilliant, actually. So I'm going to blanket this for everybody. I don't really care what you're doing with your career. You are being seen and heard. You are needing to also modify. If there's anything you've been holding back on doing, procrastinating on doing, you know, I have Gemini like 6 times over in my chart. It reminds me of this show itself. Okay. It took me forever to finally show up. This is episode number 3, you know, but I'm showing up, and it's like, it's time to make those changes. If you are going to be proving to the universe that all the things you've been manifesting, you are actually going to hold yourself accountable for. You're actually going to show up for, you know, put in the work. You're not resting on your laurels. And so there could be a lot of advancement there for you guys. In the area of hidden obstacles or general theme for Geminis, I feel like speak your truth. Okay, so I see you putting on the red lipstick, Geminis, and what this ultimately means is that you are speaking your truth. If you have been, and it's been disrespected, disregarded, nothing changed, you're coming at it again. You're coming at it in a different way. You're coming at it at a different time, but you're saying, I will be heard. I will be seen. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. And if it remains a problem where it isn't working for you, or people aren't making the adjustments that they need to, you could find yourself walking away. Okay, that's a boundary that you just may need to set, or setting stricter boundaries. All right, Geminis, enjoy the rest of your April. Cancers, what do I have for you? I am a Cancer, Gemini, cusp sun. So you are my fellow Cancers. April from the 11th to the 30th in the area of love, relationships. There's a family drama coming up here. It's like stirring your heart, stirring your heart. If you have a parent who's deceased, but there was unfinished business, if you have grandparents, ancestors where you feel like there's some kind of generational curse, especially surrounding things like poverty, work yourself to the bone mentality, self-sacrificial lambs, martyrdom, victimhood, whatever it is. You could feel that these things are coming up to the surface. And for those of you who've had abuse or neglect in the family, there could be issues surrounding this, or even drug and alcohol abuse, which is technically at the root, a lot of avoidance and escapism. And so with all of this coming to the surface, obviously it's a general message. It'll be different for each of you. What you really need to do is identify how it's coming up. Is it coming up through flashbacks? Is it coming up through, having some type of visual experience where someone else is going through it? Even on social media, maybe you see a TikTok video and it's like, oh, a sinking feeling in your stomach, or it's coming up at night in one of your dreams, almost like stress dreaming or a nightmare. You're processing and getting ready to, I see almost like a ribbon. If this has been tied up in a long time story for you, it's like you're pulling the ribbon and you're releasing. Okay, so it no longer binds. It no longer bounds you into this frame of thinking and feeling. Do the work and it will be worth it. Now, this leads directly into a love partnership, which is really interesting because we like to categorize these things, but life is a spider web. Everything is connected. So I actually see this affecting you in a love partnership. And what this can mean is that you are entering in, for those of you that are single, it actually feels like it's a return of someone old. Now, this can be for some of you a past life partner, but for some, it's both. It's past life partner and it's someone you already have been talking to in the past. Hard to say how far it got. This is a general message, but I do think that, you know, it was fairly significant enough that you both noticed a connection with each other. And when we have a connection like this, it's really hard to deny because the person sort of pops into your head, even if a lot of time has passed, and will show up typically every 10 years, but possibly quite a bit more than that, in just different random situations, and keeps popping back into your life. So that could be very interesting to explore. I do think it's time to finally figure out what's going on here and what we can make of this, what we're meant to make of this. And for those of you in a committed relationship already, I do feel like could be some conversations coming up. It's like 2 and then a third. It's like multiple conversations for the remainder of the month and dipping into next month, where it's like we have to sort these things out. This is a time for teamwork. If you guys are going to stay together, I'm hearing something silly like the couple that stays together, works together on problems. And it's like, well, duh. But, does everyone? No, for sure not. It's typically like there's a problem, and you've got one partner who wants to ditch or blind and act like I didn't see it, I didn't know. So being able to come together in all three of these things and have the discussions, the meetings, come up with a game plan and prove that we can have a true partnership. Doesn't have to be 50-50 necessarily, but a true partnership is really going to help you guys elevate significantly. In the area of money, career, and investment, for Cancers for the rest of April, I do feel like you are being chosen. So I see being sort of plucked out by the hands of God and moved into a new position. For some of you, this could be lateral, but still it's a significant level up, either with the title, the responsibilities, the pay, the opportunity for you to use like old training or do something that you've been wanting to do. So it's like it has all of these new tools connected to it. I think this is great. This is good for advancement in general. Don't be afraid to make a move right now. This is no time, Cancers, to be stuck in the past and to decide that you're just going to sort of dig in and refuse change. So there is some talk here of fluidity also in regards to your finances, and having an open mind, whether you're taking out like a loan, you're being offered some type of like a change on a mortgage, you're being offered an opportunity to change maybe the way you do business. I don't know, you're looking at an S Corp, you're looking at an LLC. What do you want to change about it or even expand out on what you offer? It's also going to be time there. In the area of hidden obstacles or a general theme for Cancers the rest of April, general theme or a hidden obstacle. I feel like all that glitters is not gold, and watch who's trying to get their foot in the door with you. So this could mean that someone is trying to approach. I would be very careful, especially single Cancers. I would be very careful about somebody trying to get in with you who's really just there for like your money, who's there for your status, who's there to ride your coattails. I'll leave it at that. Leos, what is coming up with you for the rest of April in the area of love and relationships? A lot of family drama, but it feels good. It feels like transitional stuff for those of you that have children, or you're very involved with your family, even extended family. There could be a lot of family activity going on. This could also look like celebrations, required attendance, birthdays, anniversaries, babysitting, interesting. There's just a lot happening there. And it feels kind of all consuming. It almost feels like a wave that comes over you and it's like, okay, all my attention needs to go to family right now. For those of you that have elderly parents or you're dealing with a family member who is processing some health issues, I think that it's also going to be an important time for the rest of the month, but especially for the upcoming 2 to 2.5 weeks for you to give them the time and attention and healing energy that they really deserve and to enjoy. I'm not saying anything negative is coming of this. I'm just saying it's a period of time to enjoy the relationships that you have. For those of you who aren't talking about a blood or marital relationship, but just your made family, your chosen family, this counts there as well. You know, having an attitude of gratitude to the important people that are in your life instead of being so like go, 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 go in your head, focus on who's there and relationships right now. I also feel like those of you in an established love partnership, you could be closing the door on something. And this may be an idea that you guys had, something maybe you wanted to invest in, or a relocation, something you were considering doing together, even creating a business. This could be selling off a business, whatever it is in the relationship that's been on the fence for a while. We're closing the door on it and we are moving on to a new chapter. Some of you will feel that like a huge relief and almost like, oh, good. You know, now we can focus more on the relationship itself. And I think this is, for those of you that are single, you're open to something new. You could be looking at new love potential partnerships in two different ways. We do have several different things activating and coming in. So that can suggest that for one of these, you know, they've already been here, but you haven't really looked at it seriously. And there are a couple new ones coming in for the rest of the month. And it could be an examination of who makes me laugh and who makes me feel uplifted and makes me feel good about myself, you know, about being with them. And also, you know, where's the money? It's like, where's the money, honey? Like, show me how you are bringing something into my life so you can contribute to my rise up, you know, to my next level, to my future self, my goals and ambitions. Or is this person struggling financially and they're hiding some stuff? And you're like, I can feel it. Like, they shouldn't be out here focusing on dating when their money's a mess, okay? It's going to be a mess for me and I'm not interested. So you're going to be looking more closely at that. We see in the area of money, career, and investments for Leos the remainder of April. You know, I think it's a time for you to plug away. There's this sense for some of you, general message, not everyone, but that you're quitting. I mean, you're just leaving. It's almost like I am a teacher and I am looking at this classroom and I'm like, I love these kids. I love my idea behind why I wanted to take on this job, and I am now done. Okay, I'm exiting scene left. I'm done with the nonsense, the amount of stress that it's causing me. And for the rest of you, and I'm not saying everyone's a teacher, obviously not, but like, it's just an example. But for those of you who feel like you're in any situation similar to a teacher where your hands are tied, you know, you got people dictating you all the time. You're within a certain frame or within the field, a framework that you can't ever like be super creative with or step out from. And, you know, I think you're just done with it. So there could be some significant movement there. Now, what I also like for Leos in general is that there is a lot of work opportunity right now. So job transition, job opportunities. Also, for those of you who are looking at going into a trade or going into entrepreneurship or a whole new line of work, lots of opportunity there. Some of you may be investing in a new, like, even silly things like a hot water tank, but, you know, maybe it's not that silly. Those actually aren't that cheap, but, you know, something smaller. But for some of you, it's like a vehicle or adding onto the house or doing renovations on the property or buying a piece of land. Like, there could be a bigger investment here coming up for a lot of you. And I really do think it's time. Even if you don't feel like it's the perfect time, it does feel like it's time. And it is supported by the universe, especially the last week of the month. Okay, second week going into the last week. Any hidden obstacles or general theme for Leos for April? I think it's important for you to not overthink things, because you could really buckle. You're looking like a deer in the headlights. Like, This is too much change, or this is too much to examine, or these aren't conversations I want to have. I don't even want to have these conversations with myself, right? And so you're just, it's like freezing, or fawning, right? You're just giving it, no. It is a time to be fluid. It's not a time to just give up your free will, okay, and be a victim to circumstance. So, try to stay centered in all of this and process. Let's move on to Virgos. Virgos, what is coming up for you the rest of April in the area of love and relationships? Somebody wants to have a hard conversation with you, and I am wondering if this is an ex. For some of you, this could also be like a family member who feels they're very much in charge. So this could be like a sibling who feels like they're kind of in charge of you, or they're kind of in charge of the family, This is someone who seems to come in with, like, I don't know, kind of an attitude of like, I call the shots. They're a little out of touch with reality, okay? Because they certainly don't. And I don't think you ask their opinion. And I don't even think you're necessarily trying to really keep them around in your life, but they keep just managing everything. And so there's the sense of, somebody coming in and saying to you, well, these are the improvements you need to make, or this is what's going on. This is what, what needs to be worked on, or what we need to work on, or, I need answers to this. And you're just kind of like, who are you? Who do you think you are? I don't have you being angry, but I do have you feeling a little offended in the way that people shouldn't be taking you for granted at this stage in your life. You've done a lot of changing in the last 2 years, but in particular the last year and a half, and in particular the last 3 to 4 months. And so that's the old you. Like, they're approaching you as the old you, and you're done with that, okay? Dead, done, over with, threw dirt on that grave. Flowers are already blooming out of that grave, and it is you. You are the wildflower, right? You are looking for lighter relationships, and you are looking for more joy and meaningful conversations and contracts with people. And so that's going to be a big point of examination here. In the area of single, let's say, if you're available to new people, Virgos, for the rest of April, you seem to be talking to a lot of people, and they seem to be very charmed by you, but they seem to be deep intellectual conversations. So it's almost this image of you like being at the bar, for example, and this is just symbology, okay? It doesn't have to literally be, but you're at the bar, for example, and you've got a scotch, and, there's sort of a very expensive, higher end feel to everything. It's like I'm at a jazz bar. I see beautiful woodwork, dim lighting, a lot of reds. I'm talking to someone and we're having some relatively deep exchange about the way we think about things and our life experiences and our future goals and what we know. And it's like, even a little philosophical or spiritual. I think this is great for you. And I think that's exactly where you need to be right now, because what you're supposed to be examining is whether or not you are interested in getting involved in something, long-term again, and what that would require for you. Okay. And it's going to be all about the mind, all about the intellect, all about the ability to have nothing or be doing nothing but exchange, okay, with someone else. So pay attention to how important that feels. There could also be some new sexual adventures going on there. Be careful, okay? Protect yourself, but yeah, it feels good. I think that for those of you in an established love partnership, you could be looking to do more solo work, or your partner may be a bit unavailable. And so they may be doing things more independently. And this is a great time to support one another in that, because don't forget, we're not going to have our feelings hurt when we're in a relationship, and we're still two individuals. Okay. That's how we can always come back together again, is by working on ourselves as individuals. There is money, career, investment opportunity here for the rest of April with Virgos in regards to new contracts. This could have already come up already. So maybe it came up, but it's not finished. There's no conclusion. We haven't signed yet. We're still negotiating, but it feels a little bit old. And so already here, but now ready to move forward for some of you. Now for others, this could be a new idea. It's like, boing, like, boop, this light bulb went off in my head, And I'm not going to hesitate on this. I know I need to move forward with this idea. I know I need to get this into a contract. I know who I could work with on this, or I'm putting the feelers out there and the right people are showing up. People are interested in my idea. So I could maybe have partnerships here. And I feel good about that. Things seem to be moving very quickly, especially it's like I keep hearing right around the bend. Okay, so we're approaching the bend. Don't break for the bend. Keep going, keep going. And especially moving into next month. Okay, and in the middle, we're hitting some peaks here. So I think this is a great time for advancement. For those of you who've been looking for a job and you're feeling like, oh my God, this is never going to happen. Like I'm totally stuck. This is ridiculous. I do feel like you may have a decent offer coming in, especially the second to last week of the month. In the area of hidden obstacles or general theme for Virgos, the remainder of the month, hidden obstacle or general theme. Don't think too highly of yourself. That sounds awful, but you know, it is what it is. If you come off to some people as arrogant, I just see some opportunities just drying right up, like just shriveling. Okay. Take it easy. Just try to, you know, you can feel proud of yourself. You can know what you know. You can know that you're even the best at something. Maybe you are. But this is no time to pontificate. This is no time to cut people off or come off as arrogant. This is a time for you to come humble, evenly balanced, and in an attitude and energy of reciprocity to build. Libras, what is going on with you for the rest of April 2025? Libras, in the area of love and relationships. Some of you may be having a heart-to-heart with a parent, or even receiving additional visitations, some very strong visitations from living or deceased maternal energies in the family, giving you a lot of direction, helping you to feel personally that you're elevating, justifying who you are, building up your self-esteem, showing you love and affection that quite frankly, you're not going to get anywhere else in the world. There's nothing like a mother's love, right? There's nothing like a supportive auntie or, you know, your godmother, your great grandma coming in. There's nothing like that. And so it's a time for you to really identify it and honor it and bask in that love and attention. I also feel in some way for some of you, it's a time where they need that given back to them. Okay. So like, this is a great week to call your mom or pay a visit or send flowers for no reason. Okay. But to show up, you know, with any maternal energies in your life. I think that what we may be looking at here in terms of romance, for those of you that are in an already established relationship, is that we could be planning something significant. For some of you, it does feel like purchase of a property, investing in real estate. This could also be exchange of real estate. Like I want to sell something off. Like, let's go ahead and do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. It almost feels like, let's make the move. Let's take the leap. Okay. So this could be a bigger relocation, like from state to state or even overseas. And I think you guys have a lot to figure out where that is concerned. For those of you that are in an established relationship, but it hasn't sort of taken that leap upward, we could be looking at engagement or, you know, booking the church, you know, for the marriage, like solidifying a date, a proposal coming in here. But if it doesn't, it could also be sort of a backing out in the end of that relationship. Maybe you're looking at it and you're saying, this is taking too long. This clearly isn't it, you know? So we'll see where that goes. But I think that for those of you that are single, and available to others, we're going to be looking at some strong conversations I'm hearing coming in for the single Libras, where I don't know if somebody confronts you directly and says, you don't know what you want, or you don't know who you are, or you don't know, like you're contradicting yourself. You know, 10 minutes ago you said this and now you're saying this. Somebody new that you're meeting may call you out, you know, on it. And if you've got some ish you need to clear up there, maybe not necessarily being double-minded in regards to your love partners, but more in regards to like who you are and what you believe and what you really want and what you're willing to contribute based on that, So some dichotomy coming up. I think that it's going to be good for you. And I think it's a period of time to figure out a little bit more about who you really are and what you really want and what you're bringing to the table, so to speak. In the area of hidden obstacles or general theme. Did I jump? Did I talk about money, career, and investments? No, I did not. So money, career, and investment opportunities for Libra for the rest of April. I feel like you're becoming a boss. I heard the boss. They are the boss. You may already be, but you may be seen and heard in a different way than what you were in the past. This suggests also the mallet of judgment. So there could be some judgments working out in your favor. There could be some judgments made in general, so that you guys can move forward, wrap up an old chapter, negotiate something out so you feel like good enough. Let's move on. But for most of you, it feels like it's ruling mostly in your favor and you're coming out as this boss energy. You're also getting your day to shine. If you've been putting in a lot of work, nose to the grind, my God, when's my payout? Especially the last 2 years, it's like finally, here it is. Okay, so it's really starting with the remainder of April and going forward. I love this for you. I also heard invest in some new shoes, and that can mean that you're going into some uncharted territory as you move forward, and you're going to need like maybe some research or training, or literally new clothes or new lingo, or new understanding of contracts or how to get things done, some new tools. But the new shoes signify that you are going to have everything that you need to move forward into this new territory. And that is really exciting, actually. Now, in the area of hidden obstacles or general theme for Libras, the rest of April. Hidden obstacles are a general theme. Don't back down. Just don't back down. You are the boss. You are the lion, you are the lioness, you are the king, you are the queen. Just because you haven't fully reached that status in the world around you doesn't mean it isn't there internally. So reflect that out and don't back down. Scorpios, what is going on with Scorpios for the rest of April in the area of love and relationships? For those of you that are single, you could find yourself talking to quite a few people. And for those of you that are in something established, you could find that you're tempted to cheat. So let's be careful. But let's go back to the singles who are actually supposed to be or allowed, to examine this. And of course, you guys can do whatever you want, but don't forget, karma's a bitch and she never misses an opportunity, all right, to show up. So we have with the single Scorpios, a lot of conversations happening here and a lot of people being, I heard, enticed by you, drawn and attracted to you. I know you always get that, but it may be to a heightened degree than what it has been in recent months. And something that went on with you about 7 months ago, and then something for some of you, it came up again like 4 months ago. You're releasing it. So whether it be a situationship, it be some type of complicated dynamic, maybe where you didn't know if something was finished with someone else. I feel like you're releasing it. Does that mean it's over with? That's not really what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you're releasing it and you're allowing for other things to come in and to kind of go on with your life. And I think that would be wise at this time. You may have a new relationship partner enter. I'm hearing tall, dark, and handsome, or this could be a woman with, dark hair and sort of maybe darker eyes. There's a lot of like depth and mystery is sort of what I'm getting, they could look like anything, but it's sort of their energy is sort of mystical, depth, darker maybe. It matches with you very well. It pairs up with you nicely, and it could move incredibly, incredibly fast. Be careful for conception. If you are not looking to have a child at this time, you're going to really want to be mindful of that. Otherwise, it could just end up happening. Let's get back to those of you that are in committed partnership and you are feeling like cheating, or for some of you, you have an ex returning, you have memories of maybe past sexual partners coming up again, whatever it is, I think you need to ask yourself at this time, is there something I'm not getting? It's okay to admit that there may be gaps in this relationship and that, you need to take yourself seriously and hold yourself accountable and take responsibility for your needs, wishes, wants, and desires. I think it may be a period of time for you to bring up a need for more play or sexual activity within the relationship. It could also be that there's just not a connection for some of you where you're not really feeling the same amount of exchange with your partner. It doesn't have to be sexual. It's just exchange in general, connection in general. It's just not really there. Now, is this something that you guys can really create? I don't know, because your partner may be fairly unavailable for that, and if they're going through something, okay, so be it, you want to be patient with that. Take it how it resonates in case these roles are reversed for some of you. This is a general reading, but we also need to process that when we've agreed to be in a partnership with someone else. We have to work through our shit so we can show up. So how long is that going to go on for? So a lot of questioning going on there. And it's time. It's time to get the answers, is basically what I'm saying, and only you have them. Let's move on to money, career, and investments for Scorpios the rest of April. Money, career, and investments. Some of you may be investing. This could be stocks. This could be something like a business project. I do feel for most of you where you're doing this, it's yours. But for some of you, it could be like a partnership that someone else came up with, and they seem to have history in it already. As long as they have history in it already, you can look and you could say, well, there's a pattern of success, or they've at least done something in the ballpark of this 2 or 3 other times. Like, I know what I'm working with here. If you don't see that, I would pull back. So these are opportunities coming to you guys, but all that glitters is not gold. Just be mindful. I do feel, though, for those of you that are going to be holding the master keys, or if you could negotiate things in such a way where you will be holding on to the master keys, we will probably have a large amount of success here with this. I do feel for some of you, too, if you've been waiting on a better job, but maybe not wanting to leave your current job, you could have this opportunity to step through that door as well. All right, pretty big deal there. For some of you, you may be able to put money down, plop also on a house, a piece of land, or some type of other investment, and then make it your own, locking it in with that chunk of change you're putting down. In the area of hidden obstacles or a general theme for Scorpios, hidden obstacles or a general theme, I'm hearing that sometimes the quiet person is the right person. Sometimes the spirit that doesn't shout as loud as others is the one you should be listening to. Sometimes the still small voice within you, always, okay, the still small voice within you is the right answer and the one that you ought to be entertaining. Let's move on. I'm getting tired. My God, I don't know how people do this. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, what is going on with you for the rest of April 2025 in the area of love and relationships? Sag, I feel like for those of you that are single, you could have a conversation that you need to have. You feel it almost getting pulled out of you. It's almost like someone's trying to pull the words out of you. But it's really you doing that to yourself. It's really you wanting to say something, but not speaking your truth. This could be happening with a family member, possibly someone like an older sibling or a parent, whatever, an elder in the family. Okay, someone older in the family, even like an uncle type. This could be also happening romantically with a love partner that you seem to not be willing, okay, to say what it is that's on your mind or in your heart. And so, when I feel you're dealing with family, it may be more of a boundary setting type of thing. But when you're dealing with this in love or romance, it may be more of a reconnection type of thing. And so it needs to happen. Okay. It is on deadline. It is up for you, up to you to speak. And it'll be especially within the upcoming 2 weeks. And by the end of that second week out from now, or it really needs to happen by then, or else some opportunities may be passing by. I think that for those of you who are in a committed relationship, you may find that you guys need to renegotiate some things in regards to your finances, your contracts, your long-term goals together. You may be looking at this relationship in general and saying, I'm not 100% like sure we're on the same page, or do we even want to go in the same direction anymore? For some of you, you may have hesitancy about speaking out on this because you were in agreement at one time and you don't really want to rock the boat. Plus, you're not sure if you don't want that anymore, either with your partner or in general. If you don't want to keep going where you had agreed, was our long-term goal, well, where do you want to go? And you don't have answers to that either. You don't sort of know what you're doing right now, and that's okay. But you do need to be honest if it comes up in conversation and you're being like point blank asked about it, so no lying this week in relationships. I do feel in the area of money, career, and investments for Sagittarius. Sagittarius is for the rest of April, money, career, and investments. I feel tired with it. It's just like, if you've been feeling a bit like you're a mouse on a wheel, okay, if you've been feeling like you're trapped in a cycle, you could see doors to get out. If you're a mouse in a maze and you're like, oh my God, there's the cheese, there's the door, there's the exit, like there it is. I can go out into a field under the sun, I could dig and make holes and eat flowers and like have freedom. You may almost choose to stay stuck because you have gotten into some old, stale routines, and I'm hearing dry, okay? Just it's like desert, okay? There are no flowers. There's no water here, there's no lush earth where you could ever grow anything, or dig in and really hide. It's like a rock. It's just over. And so make sure you are being willing to go into some uncharted territory, possibly stepping out literally in blind faith, and just trusting that it is the right time for you. And in the event that some of you are making either investments or work change, or you're offered something new, but you decide to make that move, and shortly after you feel like, I wonder if I made a mistake, just know that if the universe is supporting you in change right now, you can zig and zag and renegotiate. Okay, it's not a mistake. The universe isn't going to see it as a mistake. There's no big punishment that's coming in. But what we do need right now is fluidity to bring in more cash, okay, to bring in more opportunities, to bring in more resources, networking, leverage, everything. We need the fluidity. In the area of hidden obstacles or general theme for Sagittarius in April, general theme or hidden obstacle. Get out of your own way for sure. Also listen for spirit communicating with you, numbers, numerology, number patterns popping up, 5s, 7s, 3s especially. This is change. This is motivation forward. For some of you, even 4s, which is change in one major area. You may have ear ringing, like a weird tinnitus, okay, or a pressure in your ears, like when an airplane goes up or comes down. Spirit's putting thoughts in your head. Pay attention to the thoughts that come in your head after that, and a lot of vivid dreams giving directions. So all the information is here, okay, and it's up to you to use it. Capricorns, what is going on with Capricorn for the rest of April in the area of love and relationships? If you are single, someone is coming in and trying to put words in your mouth. And I don't really care for that. I think you may enjoy being picked. You may enjoy that feeling of like, oh, I'm chosen. I'm chosen, and this person's kind of overwhelming and coming at me. This could be love bombing as well. I don't necessarily feel like this person is super toxic. I'm not giving major red flags here per se, but I do think every case can be different, so use your discretion. But I do think that the idea of wanting that level of attention and it feeling good can cause a problem if you're not being completely honest about your boundaries. And so if this person is expecting you to like respond quickly to their text or to be available, for them, or to swoon because they showed up and gave you some affection, I mean, they're not going to get that for very long. All right. And so be honest about who you are, especially when meeting someone new. If you want to really give this thing a shot and see what they're made of, I do actually feel like there's some interesting energy here. We could be looking at soulmate connection. For some of you, we are definitely looking at past life connection for all of you. So whether this is someone you knew in a past life or this is someone you knew in a past life and even they're almost like someone old you've crossed paths with in this life, it's interesting energy. It's a little wild and chaotic, but I think it's worth sifting through. Okay. It's kind of like, your relationship guides are giving me almost like you went to the beach. You thought you were just going to sit on the beach and have a pina colada, and then you were going to read a book. But what you ended up doing all day was like meeting this other person at the beach, and you just dug for seashells, all day. And by the end of the day, you've made necklaces and jewelry, and you have this great collection, and you had all these experiences. And it was like, that's not what I expected, Anyways, lots of potential there. Also, the symbology of the ocean is symbolic of emotional intimacy, emotional healing. Okay, so that would be a past life theme and a theme going forward in this life together. That's kind of what it's here for. For those of you who are in a committed, established relationship, I'm hearing we're coming out of the forest. Now, I don't know if you felt like you were in the forest, like I couldn't see in front of me, there was no light at the end of the tunnel, I didn't know where I'm going, or if you felt like that was sort of a general theme for the relationship. I mean, that certainly wouldn't be a great place to be for very long. I do think that you're coming out of it. Okay. So again, whether you're coming out of it individually, you're coming out of it as a couple, I think it could quite possibly be both, because if one of you was in that energy, it would affect the relationship. And coming out and knowing more the direction that you two are headed in, I do feel like it could be an opportunity for you guys to stay together and to take it to the next level. For those of you, though, that are done, you may come out of this and you may be like, it was already done. It's time for me to move on. I think that some of you are going to be a little bit hesitant about getting into a greater investment with your love partner, especially where finances are concerned. And so take your time, slow your roll, dot your I's, cross your T's. Okay, read the fine print on those agreements for sure. In the area of money, career, and investments for Capricorns, money, career, and investments, there's some money coming in. I see some money being like, rained down upon you. It's like sprinkled upon you. So there could be some like trickle effect of financial support coming in here. I think for some of you didn't really expect it. And it could be a bit of a windfall. That's amazing, especially going into the last week of the month. I think that it's also an important time for you to be looking forward at your future plans. So where your head is really supposed to be right now in general is on future investments. Where else do you want to go? Where else do you want to be? This includes residency, real estate investments. What are you supposed to be doing to fulfill your dreams? There's this sense of teamwork here. So people could be coming in, giving you the right opportunities. This could be a loan, a grant, an inheritance, family members, whatever it is. Even if we are talking about the sale of a property, it could be them finally just being willing to give you the right price, or make something available or buy up your property. Okay. So there's a lot happening there with that. I do feel for those of you who are looking at wanting more in your job, whether it's a level up, it's a pay increase, it's shifting from one field to another. And for those of you that are in ownership, it's like expanding your base, doing something new with this business or this company, these investments. I think this is a good time for you to not necessarily, for some of you, maybe officially making that move 2 weeks out from now, but for others, figuring out specifically what you want to do and getting it down on paper. Getting it down on paper is the way you say to the universe, this is what I'm manifesting. I'm not asking, hoping, wishing for, I am claiming it to me, and that'll start moving forward more quickly. in the area of hidden obstacles or a main theme. Is there a general theme or a hidden obstacle for Capricorns the rest of April? I heard plug up the leaky holes in your boat. Now, what this can mean is that in the past, you have had several people you've been engaging with. Maybe money is getting flushed down the toilet. Maybe you're not looking at where all your money and spending is actually going. Maybe with your taxes, like you're not deducting what you should, or you're not in the right strategy for where you should be. I just get this feeling of like drains even on your energy, your attention, lack of happiness. Can't prescribe a diagnosis, but even depression or anxiety. Where are the leaky holes in your boat? Plug them up. They've been there a while. Aquarius, what is going on with Aquarius for the rest of April in love and relationships? Single Aquariuses, you may find that you're talking to someone who's really intriguing to you, very interesting, a mover, shaker. There could be air energy here or fire significant in their big three. And they seem to entice you, they intrigue you, they hold your attention, and you're very much wanting to see if this person gets the bigger picture. It's almost like, do they really participate in the world and community in such a way where you would find them respectable, honorable? You're looking at morality, you're looking at ethical code of conduct, you're looking at IQ. And then, it can move into sexual chemistry, emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence. And so it seems to, in the upcoming, I'm hearing 2. Could it be 2 weeks? Yes, but I was feeling more like a total of 2 months. We're going to be hitting those points, and we're going to be able to possibly significantly invest. So yeah, you may be meeting someone that you're actually interested in investing in. And when they show up, it doesn't really seem like you're sure about that. Maybe you've had a lot of false faces. Maybe you've had a lot of, bums. Maybe it's been, some false calls, so to speak. I think that there's this feeling here of, I'm okay being on my own, but then you kind of knew when you started talking to this person, there was something different there. It wasn't all surface yet, but there was something different there. And I think it is worth the time and investment to see where it goes. For those of you that are in an established partnership, Aquariuses, I do think that this is an important time for you to be honest with your partner about where you are developmentally. If you've been dealing with any type of anxiety or depression, or you've just been feeling like maybe you need to go into therapy more, you need to make some significant changes in your life, your work, okay, you need to be honest with them about that, because I almost wonder if your partner is reading it as rejection or detachment, or you're walling them out, or maybe they're starting at this point to think there's something wrong, with the bond and the relationship. And it's really just, you're a little afraid, I want to say, to spread your wings and to continuously grow. A lot of people get involved in relationships and it's really just not good for them. I would warn all of the air signs, that for some of us, it feels like a form of suffocation, and not because you don't love your partner, but because air is supposed to stay fluid and, keep moving and creating. And you do run the risk every time you do that, to outgrow your partner or to leave them behind. And it's something you need to address. I feel that there could also be some family dynamics coming up where you guys may be getting a phone call from someone who needs you. Okay, so make sure you're making time, whether this be a child, this be a parent, this even be a sibling. There could be some call to action here, and you're going to need to pay attention to that and move relatively quickly. I don't want to say it's an emergency. I feel like even if it's just being there as a listening ear or verbally, okay, that's going to be really important. In the area of money, career, and investments for Aquariuses, money, career, and investments. I have you putting a lot of things in boxes. You could be moving. You could be switching offices. You could be moving to a brand new field. You could be working from home for the first time and like leaving the office. But it's basically like you have all these boxes and you're putting things in these boxes. all these things belong to you. And so I am under the impression that you have been waiting for this and you have made the decision to quickly pack it up and move on and take what's important to you and leave the rest. You know, there's this sense of I'm done with that chapter in my life. I also get the rainbow for you in regards to money, career, and investments, which is rainbow after the storm. It's the promise, you know, biblically, that after a storm, that particular type of storm won't be happening again. It's a release. It's also pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you know, hopes and dreams coming true. And it's a bridge from an old way of life into a new way of life. So everything new, everything moving, doors of opportunity opening. If there's some type of investment you've been wanting to make and you're like, my God, when? You know, like, when is the right property going to show up, or when is the right investment opportunity going to show up here with this? What's taking so long? That will also be presenting itself soon. Okay. And then you can move forward. Just a little bit of patience with that, but keep your eyes and ears open. It's on the way. In the area of hidden obstacles or a main theme, general theme, or any hidden obstacle for Aquarius, I'm just hearing don't rush. And I'm hearing this from like maternal energies, grandmothers, even, you know, ancestors. It's like, don't rush. You know, this is a period of time for you to take some deep breaths, to recognize where you've been, where you are, recoup your energy, pour back into you, and let things unfold. When we are in a period of time of, you know, events unfolding, we can feel very much like we're in the energy of change. Let's go, go, go. Yet when you're really honest about that energy, you feel more like it's flow, flow, flow. You know, don't push too hard, because we don't control time in a situation like this. Pisces, last but not least. Pisces, what is coming up with you for the remainder of April 2025 in the area of love and relationships? I actually feel for those of you that are single, you could be moving into a significant love partnership. It's almost like you come together and automatically, you know, you're in a committed relationship. If you've ever met anyone, you have so much like past life connection. It's like we met and we're like already married. It's undeniable. And that is forever like your husband. There's nothing you can do about it, even if the relationship never were to become very serious. They just are your spouse. And so there's that type of energy going on here where it's like you're entering into a relationship, but it already has a foundation, right? In past life history. For some of you, this could be past life history and history in this life. So you are revisiting something that's possible. But I think that for most of you, it's newer with past life history. And I think that you're supposed to be elevating beyond what may have also been in some past life history, almost like family dynamics, into something more romantic and focusing on teamwork and building. So you may find that this is very supportive in the way that you guys are having a lot of conversations. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to build in your life? Where do you want to go in the future? You know, what are you healing from? What have your relationship dynamics been? How was your family? How did that go? You know, what have you been to therapy? There's just a lot of conversation happening here, and it all seems to be like meaningful. And there's true intimacy and connection in the way that you guys really do see eye to eye. I think that's amazing. I think that you do want to slow your roll a little bit. Just because all of that is there, it doesn't mean that it brings with it long-term stability, right? Or that both people will continue to participate in the way that they need to make the relationship grow. But I think it is possible. It's definitely something that should be entertained, you know, at this time, even if you take it slow. I do think that you guys, if you are in a committed situation, what may be happening is that some old areas from the past are coming up and resurrecting. So we have skeletons in the closet, unfinished business, stuff swept under the carpet, things put up on a shelf collecting dust, coming to what I call a pivotal point. Pivotal point in a relationship is an opportunity for two people to either come closer together or to go further apart. I can't say what you're going to choose to do. It is up to your free will. It's up to their free will. But also, if your partner, in case I'm reversing this, take it. It's a general reading. Take it both ways. Someone is stuck in the past. They are stuck on their ex. They're stuck on old relationships in general. They haven't learned from their past in general. They're stuck in the past. It can almost be like having the ghost of an ex in the relationship, or a whole bunch of people. You know, it's it needs to be cleared out. Okay, so it's possible one or both need some therapy to work through some of that, take it how it resonates, or at least, you know, some self-work in order for you guys to come together in this relationship and to really advance. For others, you could be looking at marriage, a proposal, bringing in a child. Interesting times, but a definitive level up, and none of that, of anything I just said to you, would make any sense. Like, that clearly is not for you. In the area of money, career, and investments for Pisces, April 2025. 2025, money, career, investments, Pisces, April. There's so many coming in, but it's getting pulled away. So that's annoying. It's almost like, here's a check, jump. Do you want it? How bad do you want it? I think it's a guaranteed way to irritate you and kind of really piss you off and make you question what else you might want to do. So let's say for those of you who are in an unstable work environment, threats of layoffs, maybe the company's going to be sold. Will my position be cut? You know, you're not liking the new owners. There's this, there's that. There could be a million things. Whatever's going on in your work, maybe you were offered a promotion. You were supposed to get a promotion. They gave it to somebody else. You were supposed to get a pay raise. You didn't get that amount, whatever. You could just be walking away. You could just be like, I'm out, you know, exit scene left. What can I create? I think the point is that you're supposed to be seeing yourself as the resource, not banks, not institutions, not shared income with the spouse, not an employer, not the government. I am the resource. I will create. I will stop looking outside myself. I will go in and I will see what in me is untapped, and that introspection will bring resources and prosperity and opportunities. For some of you, could be launching a business, moving forward with some type of significant project creation or partnerships here as well. But there are business opportunities for all of you, I want to say, in a blanketed way, where if you go get them, you know, you will find that there are people who are interested in moving you up into whatever position you're like asking for, applying for. Some of you may also be investing in what looks like maybe a boat or a new vehicle, especially if your old vehicle was like dying and it's really time to let it go. I heard don't beat an old horse, or let, you know, dogs lie or something like that. It may be done. Okay. Don't push your luck on that. In the area of hidden obstacles or general theme, is there a hidden obstacle or general theme for Pisces, April? Let your heart shine and try to work on protecting your stress level a bit more. So that you're not internalizing it like in the stomach and anxiety, heart palpitations, like upset stomach, stress in the shoulders, the back, the neck, headaches, you know, things like this. You could be internalizing a lot of energy in general from, yes, your life and changes that are potentially going on, but a lot of it is just that you are empathically picking up on it from other people. You know, there's a class up on my website called Empathic Awareness that could help you a lot with blocking exercises and filtering. You seem to be absorbing from everyone around you. And here's something really important to remember. You know, it happens voluntarily and involuntarily, especially when you're a high level empath. So when you're taking in other people's energy, it's not even that they wanted you to or that you noticed, but it can throw you really off kilter and make it so difficult that your head is like fogged up. You can't even remember who you are, you know, much less what you were working toward. And it can slow you down for the rest of this month. Okay, so use some good cleansing, blocking exercises, and stay within your own energy. And when you do feel dysregulated, ask, where did that come from? Okay, is this mine or is this others? All right, you guys, well, that was a lot. It's been a long time since I did one of these. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Please do drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. Let me know if you would like to see more of these type of free shows. And if you have any suggestions on other free shows, I am trying to do more pre-recorded videos here on YouTube because I really have not invested in that in all the years I've had YouTube. So subscribe, comment, like, share, and you could be chosen as a winner for my next free show to receive a free reading. If you need to book with me in the meantime, you can go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. Have a great month, everybody.